Okay, so you guys, as I'm going along here talking, I want you to ask questions, right? It's like, because you know how it is when you're teaching and somebody asks you a question, you know, it helps bring out more of what you know. So just throw all the questions you have in here. What I'm going to be talking about today is really, really, really important to know if you want to become a master of energy and a master of manifesting. What's that with my earring here? Hold on. Okay. So, because it all begins with your desire, it all begins with your desire. So, and there's like so much bullshit around desires. So let me just dive right into it. The story starts like probably almost 20 years ago, like 16, 17 years ago, when I was doing counseling for codependence. And I have a tendency, I'm not going to say it's a bad tendency, but I often start when I get a new client, it's like, ask them, what do you want? And obviously I know they're coming to me for, help with where they're at because they don't like where they're at. But for some reason, me throwing that question at them immediately, it's pretty much the first thing I say after we say, hello, how are you, whatever. It's like, what do you want? And I did that a lot in the past. It's different now, but it was like kind of this very confrontative question, because a lot of times people also came to me because they didn't know what they want. Hello, Andrea. And so there are two specific cases that stand out to me, and two women that I threw this answer to, this question to within a short time period, and it's probably why something I've always remembered. So woman number one, I asked her, what do you want? And it was just that silence. What do you want? And I kept pushing her. I was just waiting. And then what you said, I don't know. It was like, surely there must be something you want. And after a while, her answer was, I want peace on earth. And then she started crying because she had no idea what she wanted for herself. She just felt miserable and didn't want to feel that way, but she didn't know what she wanted. She had no desires. She had no desires whatsoever. And that's a horrible place to be, right? It's like, you don't know what you want. You're just kind of going along, existing, but not living, because that feeling of being fully alive has so much to do with what you actually want. Because if you don't want anything, what's the whole point of actually throwing yourself into life? You just end up existing. So woman number two, she was kind of like the same situation. I asked her, what do you want? It was like, peace on earth kind of answer again. And then I pushed her, what do you want for yourself? She wanted to put a different color in her living room or something like this. And that was it. It was the only one thing she wanted, which she hadn't even done, right? It's like these two women, they did not know what they want. And this is a really, really important thing for you to take in, because there's a huge difference between the energetics of knowing what you don't want, which these two women, they were very clear on what they didn't want. Well, clear. They knew that they didn't want to feel the way, they were feeling about themselves, but they had no idea what they wanted. So I want you to do an experiment now and do this with me so you can see how it really, really works. So wherever you're at right now, just, decide that you don't want to look at my face on the video and turn your head to the side and look at something else instead. And then whatever you're looking at, then make a decision. No, this is not really what you want to look at either. So look at something different again. And then as you're looking at that, you decide, no, I don't really want to look at this either. I actually want to turn my head to the other side and look at what's over there. So you turn your head over there. And while you're looking at whatever is there, it's like you go, so I don't want to look at that either. So what am I going to look at then? You know, look up in the ceiling. You don't want to look at the ceiling, look down on the floor. You don't want to look down on the floor. But you see how like just constantly focusing on what you don't want doesn't really get you any closer to what you actually want. So change it around and come back to what do you actually want to look at? You know, for the sake of the exercise, it can be, yes, I actually want to look at Gita on the Facebook Live. It's a kind of flickering on the Zoom with the light. So it's when you just focus on what you don't want, you're kind of like just like going from one thing you don't want to another thing you don't want, you don't want, and it's like very much trial and error and kind of accidental if you end up with what you want. Whereas if you come back to your desires, like what it is that you want, then you can just go there immediately, say, hey, I want to look at Gita talking, and then like everything you don't want just disappears because it's completely relevant to what you actually do want. And it's a very different dynamic in focusing on what you don't want and what you do want. So you guys have any questions about this, you just go ahead and ask. But I think it's very self-evident once you actually try out, the experience of just going, I don't want this, I don't want this either, I don't want this, I don't want this, or this is what I want and I'm going to do it. So the reason why many people, they don't know what they want is because we have been taught that we should not want what we want. And there's this thing called 5 freedoms that I've talked about, several times in the past. Well, there you have it, Carrie. This is what you want. Somebody knows what they want. I love it. We have been taught that we should not want what we want. And it has to do with the whole dysfunctional family, codependence, victim consciousness, the cultures, religion, ancestral patterns, whatever it is. It's like, good. Now I'm getting you guys. Yes. Awesome. Carrie, I want lots of money, 10K per month. Awesome. Go for it. So we have been taught that we should not what we want. And this is something that goes way deep in our DNA or our consciousness, that sometimes the whole victim stuff, right? It's like what we're talking about here is the prostitute lover channel. For those who don't know this, that when we are working with manifestation mastery, energy mastery, shadow alchemy, we are looking at, ooh, red Ferraris. I'm in the Ferrari country. We are working with the 4 consciousness channels of the psyche, and they are archetypal pairs. So the prostitute lover is the one we are very much talking about here because it's the instigational channel. It's a channel that has to do with what you desire. And actually, I want a Maserati. No, I want a Land Rover. I want a Land Rover. Anyway, so we have learned that when we feel something, we want something, our first automatic response is to reject it because it's unrealistic, right? It's like, well, I want to spend a year in Morocco. Oh, but that's unrealistic. It shouldn't be. It's like that's the first automatic response because we have been taught we shouldn't want what we want. I mean, it goes all the way back to, your parents taking you to a toy store, and as a child, you want everything, and you're being, criticized for actually even wanting all these exciting toys. There are so many layers to this, which it's interesting, but this is not really what we're here about. It's like why we, all the story around why you have been taught to reject your desires. So we might either reject the desire as unrealistic, we might even minimize it, because there's this thought, it's like other people are not going to approve of it. So if I was like I have had that so much. I want this, but other people are not going to approve of it. If I do it anyway, people are going to stop loving me. They're going to reject me. So I would either just give it up, my desire, because it's going to cost me approval, which is important for my survival, because this is how shadow thinks. Or I'm going to minimize it, make it less than what I really want it to be. So I have shown sometimes my bed, right? This is my bed. You get to see it here. And when I was looking at beds to buy, because I, moved into this apartment where I had no furniture, right? And I was very, very clear. I wanted a bed that was exactly to my taste. And I had this one handmade in England and shipped to Italy. And it was just around Brexit. And it was like a whole lot of fuss. And it ended up costing me like, $4,000 US, which is maybe not so much for a bed. But the whole point it's like, this was exactly the bed I wanted. And I waited 6 months to get it, because I didn't want another bed. And I wasn't willing to get something that was more realistic. I mean, I could have gone to IKEA and get and gotten an okay bed, but I wanted a very, very special and very, very unique bed, which now you have seen. And it's like, man, I love that bed. I could live there. Another reason why people give up their desire is because they have this desire, and the first thing is like, oh my God, this is going to be so much work, and it's going to be way too hard, and I don't even know how to do it. And you end up giving up before you even try, getting your desires. And I'm reminding of a story from a money coach. I can't remember her name. She had seen some kind of thing that like a paid for trip around the world with, if she would do some things during the trip, and the whole thing would be paid for, like 6 months, traveling to all cool places around the world. And she owned her desire that this was what she wanted. And instead of immediately going in and saying, oh my God, I was like, I'm up against at least 10,000 people from around the world who want the same thing. There's no way I can try. I'm not even going to try, because it's how am I going to, I don't even know what to do to win. And this woman, she just went for it. And her story is really about totally owning her desire and doing what it takes. It's like she worked and worked and worked. Which is really the warrior archetypal energy, which is like willing to do the work to get the goals fulfilled, right? Whereas the victim is going to say, oh my God, this is too hard. I'm not going to be able to get it anyway, so I'm just going to give up now. I can't. So I'm not even going to try. And this is like, so me in the past. So another reason why we have, that we disregard our desire when we have it is, who am I to want more when I already have it good? Now think about how deep that program sits in you. Who are you to want more when you already have it so good? Right? You're greedy, like you're greedy. Was like bad for wanting more when you already have it good. You should be happy with what you have and not want more. It's like what's wrong with you? Why can't you just be happy with what you have? Right? It's like that judgment. And, you know, even if I'm saying it in the voice of another person, exactly, Kenneth. It's like, even if I'm saying it in the voice of another person, it's like, this is what we tell ourselves in our minds. So if you want a red Ferrari, you want a red Ferrari, and that's it. So I don't care if you already have 10 other, you know, Ferraris, and if 10 of them are already red, if you want another red Ferrari, this is what you want. And who are you to want that when you already have another 10 red ones? You just want what you want, right? And the other thing is like that I came up with, like feeling guilty for wanting more when so many people have less. Because you already have, yes, 11. You might want to make your garage bigger to have all those 11 Ferraris. Feeling guilty for wanting more when so many people around the world have less, right? Because if you get more, then other people are going to have even less, right? It's like this programming that there's a limited amount of money. I mean, you know, let's just talk about money as a thing here, but, or Ferraris, you know, there's a limited amount of Ferraris. So if you have 11 Ferraris, then there are other people who are not going to be able to get Ferraris. But that's not true, right? They just make more Ferraris if more people want to buy them. So there's this guilt, you know, that, you know, it's probably go back to when there really were limited resources. You know, if you ate more, then somebody got less food because there was a limited amount of food. But this is not the world we live in anymore, right? So what it boils down to, that the prostitute shadow archetype, she will sacrifice her desire for whatever reasons. But it all comes down to getting approval so that she's not getting kicked out of the tribe, because the shadow archetypes are the tribal, the security, the safety of belonging to a tribe. And if you dare to be different than the tribe, you're going to be kicked out. It kind of goes to that. So because we have been taught to live in our, shadow reality with our shadow mindset, which is both, passed down through eons and generations and past life and ancestral patterns, plus, as we were growing up in this life, it's like, it's stuck. So it's going to take work to get out of it. And I wanted to give you another example of how insane this is, which I realized some years ago when I was working on these money shadows. So I'm a spiritual person, right? And I've been hanging out with other spiritual people, who are self-aware and self-conscious and, take responsibility for their lives and are in their power. And I'm doing this for a reason, because they are not really taking responsibility for their lives. They are settling for whatever it is. And they are not truly in the power because nothing is changing, but they like to pretend they are. So I want a lot of money, right? Like my desire right now is that I want to be the person that makes an unimaginable amount of money. Okay, this is my bottom line desire at this moment in time. But I always wanted to make money, and if you have heard my story, in some of the other videos, that this is like my big stumbling block in life, like the big thing I have to work on. I want money. I really, really, really want to have a lot of money. I really want to learn to make a lot of money. But because I want approval from the spiritual tribe that I was hanging around with, like the spiritual community, I had to pretend that I didn't actually want the money, because, it's too materialistic. It's not spiritual to focus on making money. It's dirty and bad and evil, because the root of, money is the root of all evil. And that's actually not true. Shadow is the root of all evil. So I wanted money. but I had to pretend I didn't want money. But then, because it's also spiritual right now to actually want to have abundance and learn how to manifest money and what you desire, then I had to add another layer on top of, another pretend layer that, well, I want to have abundance too, but I couldn't really make it happen truly, because then I would not, get the approval, because if I made a lot of money, because I was not approved of by the light worker community. It's like, just, you see how crazy it is. Like, I really want to make money, but I have to pretend that I don't want it, but I have to pretend that I do want it. It's just crazy, right? And I'm not the only one who is caught up in this. It's like I know that Carrie Ann and Carrie Marie, they have both, come out here. It's like, this is how much money I want. And this group here now, I'm gonna, announce it soon, but it's actually switching to focusing on the energy of making money. Kenneth, I love this, Gita. Thank you. You're welcome. Source is without limitation. Yes, when we alchemize our shadow, the cosmos is all available. Yes. When you alchemize your shadow, you become an energetic match to what you want to, manifest. So when you alchemize your shadow around your red Ferrari number 11, then you become an energetic match for red Ferrari number 11. Yes. Isn't it true sovereignty to keep your eyes only on your deepest desire? Exactly. Yes, because the sovereign is all about owning exactly who you are. This is who I am, and this is what I want. Now, yes, so I'm going to come back around to talk about the sovereignty around this, Kenneth. But let me finish this one. So what happens when you are in the prostitute shadow, and approval becomes more important, because approval leads to safety, leads to survival. This is what shadow is all about. What happens then is that you choose desires that are acceptable, desires that you believe it is okay to have, meaning these are desires that you think you have. And those are not true desires. These desires very often are coming from the outside, like from the external world. This is what marketing is all about, and social media and TV and advertising and marketing. And, it's like you see what other people are doing, and you think you want the same, right? It's like you kind of become a copy of other people's desire, or you want what they have, instead of, coming back to what is your true desire, whether that's a red Ferrari number 11 or 50,000 a month or whatever it is. These are your true desires, which has nothing to do with anything outside of you. Your true desires are in you. And I want to say they're not in your mind, because your mind is very much a shadow mind. You can't actually trust what it tells you that you want. You have to come down in your body and find it. So what happens with these desires that we think we have? Let's see if I can find one. Yeah, I can't think of any right now. But these desires that we think we have, they're like ghost desires. They're like ghost, in that there's no real energetic substance to it. There's no energetic solidity to it. And they just hang there like a ghost in your mind, but it's not real, right? It is not a real desire. It's a ghost desire. So now we are going into, it's like what is the truth about desires? So now we're going into the lover archetype, like from the prostitute, which is all shadow, into the lover, which is like power and light and magic. So at the heart of a desire, like a true desire, is a change of heart. I want you really to take this in. A true desire is a change of heart. It's a heart matter. The heart of the matter, a change of heart. Because manifestation, of which desire is only the very first step, this is where manifestation starts, is when you have a desire, it's like a change of heart. It goes this deep. It's like a change of heart of what you want in your life. So, for example, with my bed, you know, as I said, I could just have bought like any IKEA bed or whatever. But once I was like Googling around, like looking at hundreds and hundreds of beds, I had a change of heart when I saw the bed I bought, that was the one I wanted. It was a change of heart, right? Suddenly I wasn't okay with any odd bed anymore. I wanted that bed and only that bed. And that became my desire. And when you have that change of heart, that's a true desire. And it actually becomes you. It's like a desire that you own. It's like submit to it, right? It's like this is what's to your taste. This is what you desire, and you submit to. This is the only thing that you want. You don't want anything else than this. So if you want 50K months, then your desire is, I want 50K months. And in the process of owning that desire, you start activating the energy and changing your own energy, because manifestation is a state of being more than it is what you're doing, right? It's like just that I've said, like making money is a state of being. It's everything else you want to manifest is a state of being also, and that state of being comes out of your true desire. And so when you really own your desire, you own it. You know, it's like awaken that power in you to, I am going to do everything possible. I will do whatever it takes. I will make any sacrifice to get my red Ferrari number 11 or this bed or the 50K months. And you're also willing to go the distance, right? Because it doesn't mean it's happening right now like this, but you're willing to give everything you have to it, because the fulfillment of your desire, and here's the thing, matters more than other people's approval, and matters more than the safety of belonging somewhere. Which means it's like, you know, to your very primitive shadow mind, it's like it's going to feel that you're risking your life in order to get this. But of course you aren't, right? But there is this like the desire, it's, I had the phrase hovering around, like the fire of desire. It's like, it almost is a fire, in that it like just really becomes this like the whole desire takes over your whole being. It takes over every cell in your body, and you let it consume you. And as it's consuming you, like burning you up and burning away all the shadow reasons for why not, and trust me, they're going to come up when you have a really big desire. Because when you want to up level, you're going to be hit by a shadow attack of why you're not already there. But this fire of desire, you got to let it burn you up. Because it's like when you let it burn you up, that's when you become that person who is an energetic match for whatever it is that you desire. So you have to disappear into the fire of your desire and let it change who you are. You know, it's like a change of heart. And when you have a change of heart, you become a different person. Like a change of heart is like a really, really deep change in you. It's not superficial. It is not just, you know, I desire, you know, somebody to come and clean my house. It's like, it's like there's so much power in your true desire when you let it burn you up and when you let it, you know, activate you. You're on fire with 100K months, yes. And you hold on to that 100K months, Carrie-Anne, because it's like the burning desire for that. Let it burn all the shadows down, you know, because there's going to be shadows. This is a big up level for you, right? You got to deal with all the shadows. You got to do the shadow alchemy. And this fire, you got to keep it alive and keep it alive, because shadow is going to come in and tell you, oh, it's too unrealistic, it's too hard, you don't know how to do it. Like, who are you to think you can make 100K a month, whatever. It's like these things are going to come up a lot because it happens every time you're up level. And yeah, yes, go for it, Carrie-Anne. It's true desire changes who you are so that you become the energetic match for what it is that you want. So, Andrea, how can you tell if the desire in itself is shadow? You just know. You just know. A lot of times your true desires are kind of scary. You know, it's like you know that in order to get your true desires, you have to sacrifice and you have to give up. Sometimes with it's like your body knows truth, and you know truth when it's there, and you know when you're lying to yourself. So if you think the desire is shadow, is it or is it not, you will know that yourself. I wanted to give you guys the question. It's like, what do you really, to find out what is your desire, right? What do you really, really, really want? What is it that you really, 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 really want? And that's not necessarily a red Ferrari, number 11, or it's not necessarily a 10K months. And it doesn't really matter what it is. It's about what is your true heart's desire. So way back when, in 1991, I came across a book that had an exercise in it to find your purpose in life and your big dream. And because it's like this has also always been a vision of mine, like be a consciousness teacher, which is really what I'm doing here. But because I didn't let myself burn with the desire of becoming that teacher, I always minimized it and allowed myself to be okay with not being a consciousness teacher or a consciousness coach, to the extent that my true desire was. I mean, I want to go on stage and talk to 2,000 in the audience. Like, I love public speaking, and I love standing in front of people and changing their minds, you know, shattering the paradigms. This is what turns me on, right? And in order to do that, I had to sacrifice, you know, to become that person, because I have done it rejecting it as unrealistic. I didn't know how to do it. It's too hard. You know, like the settling, you know, I'm going to minimize it. Well, I'm already teaching a few people. Maybe this is enough. But honestly, in my heart, my desire is that I want to speak to a lot of people. I want to speak to a lot of people, and I want to make an unimaginable amount of money doing this. These two are not mutually exclusive. And I have to, you know, in order to become that person, to be able to speak to that many people, I have to become a different person, because at the moment I'm not yet the energetic match for an audience of 2,000. And it's on a stage, you know, live. So, you know, with the pandemic and everything, who knows when that's going to happen. But the point is, in order to get to this place, I have to let the desire to be on stage in front of 2,000 people, I have to let it consume me. I have to let that desire burn me up so that it can transform me, because fire transforms, right? It's the element of transformation. So it can transform me into being that person who is an energetic match for what my desire is. And this goes for all of you guys, right? It's like, you got to start, because all manifestation starts with the burning, you know, submitting to the desire of what it is that you want. It's like you have to let it consume you. And in the consuming you, it starts like activating the codes, and it's like super magnetic, and it's like really powerful, and it like awakens parts of you that has never been brought online before in the process of making this thing come true. And, you know, you have the desire here, but it's not a passive process to get it fulfilled, right? You actually have to go out and take the actions. But the activated code of your desire is what will, you know, bring to your awareness what it is that you need to do, will create the opportunities, will create the, you know, bring the intuition online, will, you know, bring the strength online to go through with it, you know, and even awakening, like, this is my vision, and I will take responsibility for seeing it through. And I know you have all done something like this in the past, right? You wanted something and you made it happen. And you don't quite know how exactly you made it happen, but you just kind of made it happen, right? And it was just kind of like, yeah, then this happened, and I heard this voice, and then this, and somehow you ended up exactly where you wanted, even if you didn't know how you got there, just because you were very, very clear, this is what I want, and therefore it happened. And you have seen it with both small and big things in life, probably. It's like I remember one of the clearest examples I had was when my son was little. I had decided, okay, it's time to get him a tricycle. And so I'm going to get him a tricycle. And like an hour later, my friend calls and said, oh, I'm cleaning out the garage. Do you want to, you know, have the tricycle I have in here? I was like, and I was really poor at that time. I was sick and on welfare and whatever. I was like, that's, you know, owning the desire, and just, this is what's going to happen. And in the owning of the desire, it's like, when you let it consume you, it just becomes, yes, this is what will be. And there's like no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. There might be some fears about it, you know, whatever, but there is like extreme certainty that this will be, and you're going to see it through because you want it that much. You see what I mean? So I'm going to ask all of you who are listening here, what do you really, really, really want? And feel it in your body, and then put your answers here. And if you have any other questions. Okay, while I'm waiting for this, I don't know how late it is, but I do want to talk about shadow alchemy, because this is really your key to actually getting it in the shortest time possible. So because, yes, Carrie Ann, you want a baby, cool. And Carrie Ann wants the 100K months consistently. True freedom to travel the world unfettered, Kenneth, means financial freedom also, right? Absolutely. So what is going to happen here as you begin to own these big desires? Shadow is going to come up, because shadow always, you know, attacks you when you are up leveling or upgrading. And this is where shadow alchemy comes in. I want bigger boobs. And that's funny, Carrie. Detaching, absolutely, you have to detach from the desire, but it's like, when you're certain that this is going to happen, there is no attachment. It just is. It already is, right? You've already, that's when you become the energetic match. The attachment itself is a shadow, because attachments comes from, I'm afraid it's not going to happen. But when you don't have the fear of not getting your desire, there's nothing to, activate attachment. There's nothing to trigger attachment. Right? It's like when you know you're going to get it, it's like, and you will do whatever it takes. There is no fear, because attachment is like fear-based, right? It's like clinging for fear of not getting it. But it isn't there, which is why it is so important that it has to be a true desire, because the ghost desires is like maybe the red Ferrari was a ghost desire, right? It's like, because it's not like it's not an energetic match, and then you get afraid you're not going to have it, because somewhere you're not an energetic match to it, but you think you really want it, so you cling to it, you attach to that desire, because if you don't get that red Ferrari, that means you're a loser and you're a terrible person, and you might as well go kill yourself, right? That's what attachment is. Yep, as if they're lighter than a snowflake. It is almost like, rather than locking your sight on it, you kind of gaze at them like out of the corner of your eyes. Yes, I'm still not there at my 100K months, but I'm still going to get there. But your actions is, where you right next. And this is where the other part comes in, right? You got to trust your intuition to get you there, which is like, the topic of another live stream. Because this one is just about the desire, but the desire activates intuition, and intuition, following intuition, is the fastest way to getting your desire manifested. It's really cool how it works. And this was exactly what I did, to get from like 2,000 a month to 50,000 a month. It's like this: alchemize my shadows, alchemize my shadow, alchemize my shadow, alchemize my shadow. Because if you're not going to alchemize your shadows, it's like, I don't know, how to think you're going to get your desire. So it's really, really grinding into, doing the shadow alchemy. And this is where I'm going to talk about the Shadow Alchemy Mastermind, because this is where you really go in and really become a master of this, right? Because you want the energy mastery that you get from doing shadow alchemy, because yes, you're alchemizing the shadow, but what you're really after is a mastery over your life. So everything you manifest is by your choice. It gives you complete freedom of choice with what your life looks like. And this is, it's like the mastery of manifesting exactly what you want, when you want it, and will, whether that's money or red Ferraris or traveling around the world or a baby. It's like, that's the level of mastery you want to get to. So yes, it's about alchemizing the shadow, but what you really want is a mastery. And this is what you're going to get in the Shadow Alchemy Mastermind. I mean, it's like really awesome what, we have created there. It's like, have workbooks and cheat sheets and tons of videos. You will do, get on calls with me 3 times a month. It's just truly extraordinary, the in-depth teachings you're going to get there in the Shadow Alchemy Mastermind. And you can find it's by application only. It's in the Alexarium. If you go to wilddynasty.com/Alexarium, it will take you to the link where you can apply for it, and it starts in January. There is room for 20 people only, because this is like very personal. I'm going to be deep in your shadows, like you wouldn't believe it, and help you bring your desires on board. So I'm going to post a link here also in the comments, so you can go ahead and do it. So this is it. If your desire matters to you, really, really, really matters, if it's in your heart to have it, the 100K, cash months, traveling around the world, needing the money for it, get into the Shadow Alchemy Mastermind. Doing it on your own is like a fantasy. Okay, so I will see you on another live stream whenever another one lands. And until then, let yourself burn with desire and get yourself into actually doing the Shadow Alchemy, because that's where the real magic lies. Okay, talk to you.